My name is DeQuincy Lezine. I'm a suicide attempt survivor, and I am the chair of the Attempt Survivor and Lived Experience Division for the American Association of Suicidology, AAS. I am also a published author, an international speaker, as well as somebody who does a lot of consulting around suicide prevention work and around engaging people who have lived experience within the suicide prevention field, as well as trying to bring a recovery and growth perspective into suicide prevention. So the way that I kind of got started was as a college student. Just shortly after my own suicide attempts, I really wanted to try to engage other folks who might have been feeling the same way that I was, so that they would have a chance to perhaps have their friends or family figure out what was going on with them sooner than my friends were. So I started doing some writing and started doing some research at that time, pretty much at the same time that I was going through my own suicidal struggles. I figured out where a group was called the Suicide Prevention Advocacy Network, SPAN, and they were trying to put together a national strategy for suicide prevention. So that's when I first started getting involved at the national level, because I thought that that might have a chance to help more people than I could at just the local level. Met up with them in Washington, D.C. for kind of a rally and a march to try to raise awareness around suicide as a national issue, as something that we should be addressing as a country, and something that we needed to have more partnerships and collaboration in trying to address it. In the process of trying to develop that national strategy, there were some people who were there representing the experience of people who were family or friends of somebody who had died by suicide, and there was nobody really there representing the perspective of somebody who had themselves gone through a suicidal experience. And so I really wanted to bring that perspective to the table, because it seemed like something that was logical to include. If somebody is going to be talking about suicide and suicide prevention, particularly youth suicide prevention, it made sense to have a youth at the table. Somebody who had gone through suicidal pain, somebody who had endured those types of depressions. The story sounded differently, I think, coming from a suicide attempt survivor than it did from somebody who had lost a loved one to suicide. And that sounded different from somebody who was coming from a clinical perspective, or somebody who was coming from a research perspective. And I think that part of the reason why the first national strategy was such a big event was because it was able to pull together kind of all these different perspectives. One of the things that I found over time that helps people to really deal with suicidal thoughts and suicidal feelings is to be able to make meaning out of their experience, and to be able to find something that would give them hope. And for me, that really has been working within the field of suicide prevention. That's been something that's been able to give my life purpose and to have something that's meaningful that I can make from my experience.
Just give them a big hand.
All right, so let me talk just a little bit about this survey. It's been a calling for me going forward. Just how am I able to take my experience and perhaps have others be able to be helped from that? And then it's also kind of a challenge. How do you take personal experience and make it into something that is going to be useful going forward, something that is going to help people going forward? And so it helps me to be able to help other people. And then it's really just gratifying to be able to work with folks and to see them come from the position where they feel like life is completely not worth living, to a place where they feel at least some hope for the future, and then to a place where they feel like their future is actually going to be much better.